in hours leading up to the inauguration. Bitcoin spiked at a brand new all-time high.
Smash through 110K.
109 almost, or 100.
Exchanges are different, but a new all-time high
between
meeting. Yeah.
About 110 USD, which is great to see a new all-time high put in prior. Some people were obviously expecting that to just continue and keep going and going and going, and it hasn't happened.
Really frothy.
And we've pulled back about 10% on Bitcoin now from that price. So we're back to about 100K, maybe 101K at the time of recording. So, I'll take a breath. A lot of things. 102.
Thank you,
Producer Lee has just told us that there's 102. So I wasn't too far away, but it's all right.
Yeah.
But I'll take a breath now because I've been talking a lot and quite building up a bit of excitement. But there was a lot to unpack between, I guess, where we are today, sitting in the chair on Tuesday, and what kind of happened and played out since Friday. So, what does it mean? What does it mean for us? I hear people saying that this changes a game, changes a lot of things about how we look at the industry, look at the market. There's a lot of pros, there's a lot of cons. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like we kind of talked about before, I think the market was just expecting this was it, like we're off. So it all started speculating, price went up, people chased, everyone got bent. Like it's pretty, I think just as soon as we realized, or the realization set in that crypto wasn't part of that first round of bills being pushed through the Senate, or at least an agenda item, it affected sentiment quite negatively because price went up on the back of potentially positive sentiment, right? So I think this week is a big week. I think by the time this podcast releases, which will be Thursday, there's a pretty big sort of catalyst that will sort of be squared away. We have the US debt ceiling crisis, which always happens about a week after every presidential election as well. There's already pushes for, quote, extraordinary measures to be taken. So basically raising that debt ceiling, which allows the US to go into more debt, which is going to be likely a good outcome for crypto because that usually results in the US dollar tumbling in valuation, which makes it easier for crypto to go higher, all that sort of usual stuff. We talk about money printers turning on. So, and by that stage, I think if the market has caught a whiff of what are Donald Trump's plans with this strategic reserve or everything else surrounding it, I mean, even his own, his son's tokens, the World Liberty Finance, has been capturing more and more attention. I think they sold out their token allocations. It's just kind of feels like a melt up is coming, but it's just I think everyone trying to catch exactly when it's going to happen. A lot of people getting burnt right now, so that's what it feels like to me.
We touched on it last week, right? We talked about what's happening right now pretty much last week. We said there's going to be some volatility. The market will not make it. The market doesn't make a decision that quickly. I think there's some of those catalysts that I talked about a second ago. Not mentioning the speech and then the market not kind of pumping. We'll know a bit more as I guess the next few days play out. He has a list of a couple of hundred, I believe, executive orders on his desk.
I think it was 200
that he's going to be
day one,
essentially going through and signing off on, or however that looks like, whatever that looks like. So there'll be a lot to play out between even now and when this podcast is released. I think what I just want to go back to and what we talked about last week was we know what Trump kind of stands for. He's a money guy. He's a business guy. He's going to do everything within his power, and you can almost quote this exactly from last week on the podcast, but he's going to do everything within his power to try and generate profitability for businesses, stimulate the economy. That's his kind of measure of success, right? He always kind of plays on these things, getting more people money, getting Americans in a position, and America as a nation in a position to generate their own economy. And then he's talked about immigration and all these types of policies. We won't get into the politics. We're trying not to. It is hard at times, but I guess it for me, it's a zoom out effect. What's the impact of his presidency going to be over 4 years? And from my perspective, I don't really care what happens today, next week, over the next 3 months, but over the next 4 years, I think it's going to mean a lot of opportunity for a market, an establishing market still that we're in. And it's the first, it boils down to, we have the first kind of president in power that is pro our industry. So that means something. President. That means something, right? And that might not have the short-term sugar hit that people want for market, but long-term, I think that establishes. Huge. And I think what will be built around our industry over the next 4 years is something that will be a good concrete baseline for the next person that comes in as well to push it forward, as opposed to just cutting all ties with it, right? I think it's too deeply embedded now. Even before Trump, we're starting to get some traction, right? We're starting to get some hold. Some great businesses have been built. I think what Trump will help build, hopefully, and promote that innovation over the next 4 years will be substantial and will set us up for long-term prosperity. But it doesn't come linear. It happens. We have our cycles, and we'll continue to track up and down with volatility.
Yeah, and on that point too, like the interest that Bitcoin was getting pre-inauguration wasn't just retail. It wasn't just the average punter.
That's right.
We saw Bitcoin ETF volume surge, almost $1 billion day last Friday. So that hasn't been seen for quite some time. So again, just positive tailwinds coming with all of this. I just don't really know where this goes next week. I feel like we're just going to be...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been a big week.
I'm not worried. Like if we're sitting here next week and Bitcoin is at 120k and everything is pumped around it.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned. But also if we're at 80k and everything is dropped, we are entering a kind of a new phase.
Yep, I agree. Feels like it.
It feels like we're entering a new phase, and not everyone's going to like everything about what's happening, but it's kind of like change, right? Change. Not everyone is comfortable with change, but it's a kind of, it has its moments in time, and then you move forward, and we start to look forward to the positive opportunities for all of us.